How's it going, everyone? We're here to check out the Halloween update, and with this we do have a couple new little items popping in. Some things for the item store, some things for the Halloween event, but the event itself is pretty much unchanged from previous years, so if you already know that, you can probably skip to the item store part if you like. But starting off, we're gonna run down all the different event stuff, and the first thing here we're gonna run down is the pet. So if you come into here and you look up Frankenstein, you're going to see that there's a Frankenstein table you can now craft. And this is going to be a temporary craft. It's going to be workbench level 1, and it's going to cost you 200 metal fragments. Not a whole lot. Once you place it down, you'll notice it has some slots for ingredients, and that's where you're going to have to go and kill yourself some scarecrows or mummies out in the world. Now there's multiple ways to get them. They'll spawn in and around monuments and roads, which you can then find them there, or you can find yourself a portal, which we will cover later in the video, and they'll be in there as well as a little dungeon. And with that, they can drop specific items. Now, also, you were able to mount the scarecrow and the mummy heads, but they're airing out for me on staging right now. But if you do have the skinning knife, they are skinnable, but you'll notice both are called scarecrow. These are actually, one's a scarecrow and one's a mummy, but they both have the mummy picture. So I think that's probably what's going on there. But with all these other items, if you go ahead and kill them, these are the potential special Halloween items you can get. There's the sickle, the butcher knife, and the pitchfork. Then there's the ghost costume, which is a pretty rare one, and then you can also now get, new this year, the Frankenstein mask and the mummy mask. And as you can see, they pretty much have the stats the same as if they were coffee can helmets, so to say, I believe is pretty much what they are there. And we'll take a look at these, of course. So if we pop on the first one here, we'll take a look. And it's definitely a very fun mask. Look at all those details there. It just really looks like you can tell it's made out of that rubber that these kinds of masks are made out of in real life, and just the staples, the details, everything. I just love it. And it's cool that it's not something you have to pay for. Then over here we have ourselves the mummy mask, and yeah, this goes right good with the mummy wraps, which have returned to the store this year, which we'll cover too. And yeah, this is just really fun. Missing teeth, some really messed up looking eyes, man. It is definitely very, very creepy. With that, moving on, you can also then get the various Frankenstein parts. There's the light Frankenstein, the medium, and the heavy. The coffins themselves, some wooden crosses and gravestones for decorating. So we're just going to go ahead and take the heavy guy here, go over to our table. You're going to plop the parts up in there, and you'll notice it starts to make noise. They'll pop up onto the table. You can hold E and say, wake up. This will wake up your Frankenstein friend, and now you can command them around. Now, some people might not have this set, so what you'll want to do is go to controls, and then all the way to the bottom, you'll see pets, and this is where you can assign it. Once you have it assigned, if you don't already, you can now have your options here, and you'll see you can tell them to do nothing, to follow you, to attack things that you attack or anything that attacks you, so it's kind of like defensive mode, also defend itself, attack only what you attack, and then attack anything that attacks me, so just defensive mode. Then you can tell them to move to a specific location, so I can say, like, move over here. Hey, you. Move here. Okay. Let's try that again. How about we say follow? Now we say move there. Alright, he doesn't want to do that. Well, I'm not sure what's going on with that. It literally worked earlier. But as you can see, they have a health bar of their own right above yours. And if you want to get rid of them, you can either kill them in the menu, or you can bring them back to the table and simply put them back to sleep and pick up the parts and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and tell him to do nothing. And that doesn't seem to be working. Let's say idle. There we go. Oh, and is it working now? Hold on, let's see. Yep, there we go. Move. Okay. There we go. We got that grunt of confirmation. So I'm not sure if that was some weird lag or something else, but there it finally clicked. So with this, there are also the other two things I mentioned, the portal and the trick-or-treat hunt. So the trick-or-treat hunt is going to be a little event that pops up on screen, which we'll show you here in a minute. And with it, you can collect candy. And for every 10 candy, you can make one small loot bag. And what you can get out of the small loot bag are the various items here you see. And there are some special items. You'll see that there are some vampire steaks, which are basically kind of bone knives, so to say, but they're just reskinned for fun. Then you'll see the scarecrow wrap, and you'll see it has egg vision. That's a little goof. It's supposed to be candy vision. One way or another, you want to wear this because it will boost your amount of candy you can get during the event. And then the other really important one in here is going to be the actual basket, because this is going to allow you to pick up candy faster. So in addition to that, there's also some actual candy in there for you. Moving on, if you have 10 of the small bags, you can get a medium bag, and with that you get stone, some tools, some basic weapons, a hazy. Then there's the spider webs and the graveyard fence. And the spider web for some reason just won't place for me. Usually you need to have a ceiling and a wall and it kind of clips to it, but no matter what I did, it just wasn't. But you'll see the fence itself is like this right here, and they clip to each other, just kind of like high externals do. And you can build a little perimeter fence. It doesn't seem to damage unless you hit the spikes, so you can kind of jump over that part, but it's kind of hard. You'll see you'll still pretty much get the spikes, the iron rusty spikes, I should say. So there is that for those. Then moving on, if you have 10 medium bags, you can upgrade into a large loot bag, and this is where you get the boom boom. So you can get yourself the MP5, the various other weapons, an empty grenade launcher, or you can get yourself the light rocket pack, which is pretty nice. So that's how that's going to go. So what is the event itself? Well, if we go ahead, you'll see this pop up, you'll hear the sound, and you'll see a countdown. And as you wait for that countdown to go, boom, there it is. Candy should spawn in and around you, so you're going to be looking for something like this. And you hold E to pick it up, but that does take a little while. So like I said, if you have the bucket, you can actually literally just left click real quick. And boom, left click, done. Left click, done. Much, much faster. What you want to kind of do is also work in a circle. They kind of spawn new ones inwards towards where you're facing. So if we go ahead and pick up this way, it'll spawn more kind of this way. And yep, you'll see there it did that. And if we kind of run past it and then pick it up from this way, it should try to spawn them, yep, more this way. And so you can kind of coordinate this with a group, and you can actually get quite a bit of candy spawning. And well, why do you care how much you can get? Because, well, first of all, that's, you know, adding up to your loot crates. But the other thing, there's the top creepers, as you see in the corner there. And right now at first place out of, you know, one person. But the top 3 actually get bonus. And the first place actually gets 3 medium bags. So just like Easter, it is worth getting in that top 3. So that's basically how that is going to work right there. Those are the basic Halloween events for you. Let's go ahead and check out the portal, and then we'll cover the shop items. Alright, so the event just ended. As you can see, it gave me 3 mediums, and here is a portal. So you'll see these out in the world. It's just this creepy little portal floating around out in the middle of nowhere. And you're going to go ahead and enter it. It'll bring you into a dungeon, and right away, prepare to be attacked by at least something. And that's where these guys are going to be. As you'll see, this one had a pitchfork and some medium Frankenstein legs. Guys are pretty feisty, and you don't have to go in here with a gun, but I recommend it because they just really come after you pretty tough, and there can be a decent amount of them in here, so not really something you want to deal with. Oh, and there's also, yes, that's right, there's the crate costume. I totally forgot about that. So you can actually dress yourself up as a crate, and when you look through it, you just have the little box, kind of like the heavy armor, but you can crouch and pretend you're a box and mess with people, and that's actually pretty funny. So that is one other thing I did forget exists. The very, very fun little deal. But once you do get to the ends of these tunnels, there'll be various loot boxes for you. We'll kind of cruise a little further down this tunnel quickly. You'll see, not the best loot, but, you know, that's kind of how it goes. What else we got here? Yeah, a little more scrap and junk. There is a small chance of green crates spawning down here, so that is a possibility. And if we kind of pop through the wall here, sometimes you can see there's other ones nearby. Doesn't look like it. But yeah, so there you go, everyone. There is the mysterious portals. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the shop items returning anew. And first up, we have the returning mummy wraps, as you can see my character is wearing. This is not a burlap costume, it is actually an underwear that you spawn with. So how does this actually work? If we come into here, you'll see that there is an undergarments button to the left of your character model in your inventory. When you click on it, it will show various types of underwear. So most likely you'll be on the default underwear like this, and you'll see the mummy wraps, which look like this, and you simply click them, and there you go. You'll wear them until you change them in this menu. So there you have that. We've got the mummy wraps for you, and you can pick them up for $5.99. Next up, we have a metal face mask skin straight from Face Punch, and it is the hockey mask. This one will run you $3.99. It is a returning mask. As you can see, it has these kind of old leather straps around with some rings, very kind of a Sane Asylum look to it, and then you've got that classic kind of slasher Halloween mask. And if we go ahead and take a look into crafting, it is actually literally just going to be under the metal face mask. If we go ahead and take a look, see here, it will pop up as a metal face mask skin. You can also put it into a repair bench and re-skin it there if you already have a face mask and want to change it. But there you go, its stats are going to be exactly the same as a metal face mask because it is literally just a skin. Next up, we have the Dracula Cape and Mask, and, well, the mask isn't new, it's returning. This one is returning for $3.99, but the cape wasn't something that made it into the shop previously, and this time it did. So let's first talk about the mask here. It's going to run you $3.99. As you can see, it has your classic kind of horror film, you know, Dracula kind of look to it, and it's got that Halloween strap right going on. You know, the whole thing just looks like a classic Halloween costume. Then down here we've got the cape. This is going to run you $5.99 this year, and it has a nice little jewel, fancy red stitching, and then you've got this really cool pop-collared cape. As you see, it does wiggle around quite a bit. It does move nicely when you run around as well. So this is just a really cool little exciting thing to see make its way into the shop. Alright, and then if we go ahead and take a look at the actual items here, for crafting, it's going to be, the mask is going to be 10 cloth. And if you look at the stats here, we can compare and take a look with them. You'll see the mask is 20, 25, 7, 5, and 10. And you'll see that it doesn't have any explosion protection. And yeah, it's very similar to Wolf headdress, just a little bit less, more or less. And then the same thing with the Dracula Cape, you'll see that it is a little bit less than a actual road sign jacket, but it does have some radiation and a better cold protection instead of negative. So that's kind of your trade-offs for them right there. Alright, next there are the deployables. First thing is going to be the Carvable Pumpkin, and as you see here, I've done some stupid quick faces, and you basically get this pumpkin right here. You go into paint sign, and then you have all the options to cut or do whatever kind of design you want. There's eraser tools, there's color pickers, you can do all sorts of different little things. There's some various different shades that you can work with, and then you simply save it, and you have your pumpkin. You can also pick them up with a hammer, and it keeps the design on the pumpkin as well, which is nice. And then if you want to go ahead and light them up, they are going to need a little bit of wood in there, so we'll go ahead and dump some wood, and boom, there it lights. So moving on to the next thing we have here, we've got the skull spikes. These are another returning item. They're going to run you $2.99 for the set, and they've got several different versions. They have the one with the pumpkin, which actually has all the flies going around it and so forth. Then you also have the one over here that has the melting candles, which will actually turn on at dusk and dawn, which is really nice. So you can kind of use them as like a quick way to know what time of day it is. If they're not on, then it's probably daytime, and if they're on, it's night. And then, of course, you have the default skull spike right here. Then if we move on to our next item over here, you're going to see that these guys are having some glowy eyes, which is great. It's always hard to catch showing. So you'll see that their eyes are actually glowing, and that's one of the effects of it. So you can put any skull in here and it will show the name. I just put blank skulls, which is why they're not showing names on them. But you know, it would say TGG or whatever on them, which is really cool. This little 4-pack of the different trophies is going to run you $4.99. Next up, we have the return of the Skull Firepit. This one's going to run you $4.99 as it usually does. And this one comes with some custom sounds. Oh. You hear it kind of makes spooky wailing noises along with that crackle of the fire. Then if we come on over to our next thing, it's going to be the return of the Cursed Cauldron, and a lot of people love this one always. It's been a Halloween staple for many, many, many years. It's going to run you $4.99 as usual, and as you can see, it has a nice little green glow going along with the cauldron part. Then moving on, we've got some electronics for you. The first one's going to be the Fogger 3000, and then we have the strobe light. The strobe light's going to run you $3.99. I'm not going to turn it on because some people are sensitive to that, so I don't want to have that happening. But it does have multiple settings, which we'll show you. There's the 10 Hz, 20 Hz, and 40 Hz, and then you've simply got the turn on option there. Then if we go to the Fogger, you'll see that it has a inventory. You can go ahead and plop in a stack of fuel, and you have several other options. There is a motion activated or just activate. So if you put on motion activation, when somebody comes by, it should turn on. Did we not? Come on. Nope. Okay, it's not triggering on me, so we'll just go ahead and turn it on. And as you can see, there it goes with the smoke. Now, one of the things I did want to show you is that a while ago they were updated to work with electrical systems. So in case you didn't know, there is a toggle, a turn on, turn off on both of the devices. So that is something worth knowing for people who like to play around with electricity. Moving on to our last little item here before we go on to the weapons is going to be the large candle set. This will run you $3.99. It comes with 2 different sets of candles. You've got the large candle and then the small candle. You turn them on and they give pretty good amount of light, honestly, I would say. And the other thing to keep in mind is that they do eventually burn out. So after a certain amount of time, they will disappear. So if you're wondering where your candles are, you probably left them on. That's one thing to kind of keep in mind there. So they do burn out like a real candle. So let's go ahead and take a look in all the different crafting stuff here. We've got the Carvable Pumpkin. As you can see, it just takes one simple pumpkin to make that one. Then we've got ourselves, let's see, what's next up? We've got the spikes and skulls, so we can do the skull. And you'll see that the skull trophies require 100 wood and 25 fragments, and that will make you the empty container. You then have to put a skull in it. The skull fire pit is going to require an actual human skull and 100 wood. And the skull spikes also require human skulls and 150 wood. As you craft it, you can pick the different versions, or you can change it in a repair bench with the physical item. Then the cauldron, if we spell it right, pull it on up here, you'll see it's 100 wood, just like any other campfire that you would expect. The fog machine then is going to not require any workbench, but you do need 100 metal frags, 30 low grade, and a pipe. And then we've got the strobe light, which is going to be 100 metal frags and 2 high qual metal. Lastly, we have our candles, which you can see here 20 animal fat and 10 cloth, or 10 and 5 respectively for the smaller one right there. So let's go ahead and kill lights and take a look at these at night. First up, you can see the Carvable Pumpkins, and they pretty much light up as you would expect. They have a little bit of a glow around them, but mostly just through where you carve. Then, like I said, at night, these candles do turn on. You can see the glowing eyes on these, which is quite fun. We've got that skull fire pit, the cursed cauldron, and the candles. Alright, so we do have some Face Punch first party items for you, and the first one here is going to be the rock skin for the skull. This is definitely a very fun one. As you can see, the whole thing just looks like an actual human skull, but it is a rock. So yeah, you can skin any one of your rocks with this one and be bashing away. Next, we have a torch skin for you. Yeah, there's a few torch skins out there, and this is one of the few of them. The Cultist Deer Torch, to be specific. This one's going to run you $2.99, and we can go ahead and light it up for you, as you can see right there, as you hold it on up. Definitely a very cool looking torch skin. Last but not least, we have the bloodied baseball bat for you. Well, actually, it's not really bloodied. It's more just the barbed wire bat. And it's simply called the baseball bat. And as you can see, this one is covered in nails and barbed wire. Definitely kind of a homage to a certain baseball bat from a certain zombie series. So that's going to do it for the returning first party Face Punch items and so forth. I hope you all find something that you're looking forward to for this Halloween and have fun with the event. Thanks for watching, everyone, and stay spooky.